quick about this. I have some recent information that I had mentioned in the chat room. A person that I know that used to work with SRI who has given me some recent documents that concern not just Project Stargate, but two subgroups of Project Stargate, one being called Project Grill Flame and Project Sunstreak, which was basically evaluation projects through Project Stargate on remote viewing, remote influencing, and remote actions. And I just feel that it would be good for me to get this information to you, which will in turn help you with all the studies and everything you've been working on.
I may be able to play with that a little bit. If you and I can get together on the phone sometime in the next couple of days, we can bat that around a little bit, and I'll filter the pieces in I could use. Something I want to run past you real quick.
Okay.
I was listening to the Kevin Smith show, and he had on Ike Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, and she was releasing some of the information on that Mars project. And she's of the opinion that there are some disinformationalists that they found in a listing, and I'm hoping to find out some of those names so we can find out if, A, they're conscious of the fact that they're putting out disinformation. So if you can get anything that matches SRI, I'm betting you that we're going to find some links to these names. Because some of these people that are, I bet you they don't know.
You're absolutely right. And it's funny you said it because I'm in contact with her now, and I'm in contact with a few predominant people over in the UK. Again, this is something that we should talk about later, but remote influencing has become very prevalent.
All right, there's a guy, and I'm going to put this out while you're on the line here. There's a fellow that I spent some time studying with. His name is Bob Dratch. He's on the web. You can find him, D-R-A-T-C-H. Sheer genius fellow. I've got a link on some of his data on my website under the above PhD stuff. And I was working with him for a while on improving the tuning of my neurology using holographic waveforms or holoforms. And we got to the point where...
That's kind of like the projection imaging, excuse me, that's kind of like, what's it called, like the image projection.
Similar, but we're using some signals. And I promised him I would not go into how he does it, and I honor that promise. But what he was able to do is, over several thousand miles, he could turn on a laptop and tune it so that I could feel this all the way over here in Pennsylvania, thousands of miles away. And they've been able to do this, linking people all over the planet. They have grids of people, and they're doing some great work at trying to heal the planet and get us moving forward. And I have to attribute to his work, to the Shiva Neural Stimulation System, and to the Sullivans, who built those LED units that are unbelievably beneficial for detoxing the brain and getting it functioning better. But that's where a lot of this stuff is coming from. So if you can bring that SRI piece in, I think you and I may have a full picture. And I've got new stuff for you and the audience out there on detox that actually is faster, quicker, and, boy, I think much deeper on different levels. So
that's great, Jeff. And what I will do, what I will make sure that I do is, because through some contacts of mine, I now have a document certified that is, it's basically the fiscal year budget for SRI through Department of Defense up until 2011. That covers everything from Super Soldier Project to remote viewing to other things.
That's
I will make sure that you get a copy of that.
Thank you.
And I know that I'm saying this on the radio, and I'm probably going to get a lot of garbage for this, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that, you know, people like you and I are working together for this, and I will make sure that you get this documentation.
All right, here's one other for you to look up on the web. If you get a chance, and anybody out there listening should look up the CAFR. stands for CAFR, Combined Annual Financial Report. If you look it up, every state is having 2 books that they show. The one set of books, they tell everybody they're broke, we got to raise taxes, and the other set of the books where there's tons of extra cash laying around. Look that up. You can even download some of them from each state and see where they're pulling their shenanigans.
And I will say that Jeff is absolutely right in that, and to back that up, I have a couple of websites that I'll post in the chat room that backs that up.
Excellent.
But I don't want to take any more time, so
my pleasure.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Jeremiah, for your time. Fabulous show. I'm so glad that I was able to be a part of making this happen, and thank you.
All right, thanks, Aaron, and Jeremiah, you too, because you're getting the job done by making sure all these different people give their different pieces of the puzzle, because out there's people every night that listen to your show, and they take what they know, and they add a piece or 2 that comes from each guest, and pretty soon you've got more and more pieces coming. They get to the chat rooms, they share that, and pretty soon there won't be any place for these idiots to hide that are playing the games.
That's true, and I want to thank Aaron again for getting you on the show, because he contacted me and he told me you'd be a great person to bring on the show. Also, the great-granddaughter of Eisenhower, we've been thinking about getting her into a spot too, so she may be on the show as well. I want to thank you for mentioning Hendrik Palmgren and Red Ice Creations as a great another great source for information when it comes to radio. He interviews so many interesting people. I first heard Andrew Bishago on his show, and the teleportation that was going down in El Segundo. Are you familiar with that?
Well, I've listened to all of his shows, and I've listened to the ones from Eisenhower's great-granddaughter, and that's when I realized that there was quite the connection there, because they're both talking about the same thing, and they know it's related, but this thing may go so much deeper.
It always does.
Yeah, we're going to just keep peeling back layers of the onion until we get to the rotten little core and find it. And by then, if we're lucky, we can solve this problem without even a drop of blood, or at least not that we should. Hopefully it never gets to that.
Speaking of cores, I heard my father has cancer, and I heard that the core of is it a peach or something? If you eat the core out, that it cures you.
Okay, yeah. Let's get through cancer, because when I do cancer with you, I'm going to show everybody how to reverse it. There's nothing to it unless it's bone cancer, and that's a tough one. All right, let's take a look at this. And
I'll
we're
tell
going
you
to look
what,
at this.
Jeff. Let's hold it off for the second hour, because the second hour is coming up in 10 minutes, and I want to make sure I cover all the medical stuff that we're going to get into. So let me throw you, I'm sorry for switching it up here, but let me throw you a couple more questions that are going on here in the chat room that I think are relevant to this first hour.
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, Jeff, are you aware of the current DARPA project and remote viewing?
I have not played with any of that with any of those people at all. I have been going off on my own only because I can't find anybody in those groups to trust. And I don't want them to sidetrack any of my research in what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is allowing me to connect into inanimate objects and animate objects. My only problem I'm having right now is with electronics. I haven't been able to get into that stuff yet.
Okay. Also, can you talk about any type of healing using sound?
Sure. I started out working in low frequency back in the 70s when I was in the military, in the Navy and school. I learned about, the hysteresis curves, the Virgin curves, how magnetic amplifiers work in principle, and I started playing with some of that back then. And then later on, after I became ill and was trying to learn more of these modalities, I got into it. There's a free program on the web that's absolutely stellar in its accuracy for looking at the voice waves in your body. You can speak into it. The program is called PRAAT, P-R-A-A-T. Comes out of a website in the Netherlands. You can get it in Windows, Linux,